Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we have the big celebration over there at Anfield, Liverpool being crowned EPL champions for this year. And of course, Arsenal allowing another opportunity to slip. Now, joining me this evening to talk some EPL football and to review the weekend of football that was, we have returning to the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. Big weekend again. And this one being the most important for a team such as Liverpool being crowned champions with 4 games remaining in the season. God of Honor coming up versus Chelsea and high flyers Arsenal as well. Talk to us, Christoph. What would you say was the key factor in this season which led Liverpool to lifting their 20th EPL title?
I would say the key factor that led to Liverpool lifting the title this season was the level of referee in the Premier League, the PGM goal. Howard Webb
Refereeing.
team. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm sure they
That's a
collected their
big downplay
medals.
to the tremendous work of the players, coaching staff,
Oh no.
recruitment,
Uh, uh,
physio,
uh, uh,
medical team, etc. I mean, that's a slap in the face right there.
Liverpool didn't do any recruitment, so it wasn't that. All right.
Well,
There is I'm not disregarding anything Liverpool has done because they have been consistent all season. They've played well. You know, they got 82 points. They made it to the end. But the biggest factor in the title race was the level of refereeing. Arsenal has lost double-digit points this season because of poor refereeing decisions. The difference between Arsenal and Liverpool currently is 15 points. Arsenal have lost 15 points from poor refereeing
wow,
decisions.
wow,
All
that's
from
that's a bold claim there, Christoph.
no,
One would say you're probably grasping at
hey.
straws.
That
Refereeing
is not
decisions.
that
Wow.
is not a bold claim, and I'm not grasping at straws. We talk about it
Mm,
every week. Dubious calls from the referee every week in, week out. It is not any
right, right.
dubious claim. It is not a false claim. We've seen it all season. That is the biggest factor in the EPL title race this season.
Mm. So what? So you're saying point blank, it's not down to anything else other than bad refereeing decisions?
If
I
we if we
mean,
if hey if we
is it on the part of Arsenal or on the part of Liverpool? Is it that the refs help Liverpool or the refs
no
failed Arsenal?
I I I think the refs have my personal opinion. I don't have proof that this is what they did, but I think
So
the
we
refs
could
were
call it a conspiracy theory then.
no, not a conspiracy. We saw that the referees made the incorrect decision in Arsenal games week in, week out. That is not a
Right.
conspiracy. That is a fact. We
Mm,
know that. I simply feel it was malicious on the part of the referees. That is all. I think it was willful and malicious. I don't have proof of it, but
right.
it is a clear pattern that anybody who has been watching the Premier League this season and watching more than just their game and are not being, maybe people, oh, it's Arsenal, they don't care. But I tell you what, next season when we return to regular programming, it will be Manchester City who will see the favoritism from the referees. And I hope I don't hear anything from you, Liverpool, when those decisions go against you.
Well,
Right?
time is the master. Time will
But
definitely tell,
as
but
I said, I think it was malicious on the part of the referees,
right,
right?
right.
But
I
I have
mean,
no proof of that. But week in, week out, we said it from the very first week of the Premier League. The refereeing has been bad, and up to now, Arsenal, and it's not some false claim or anything. Arsenal have dropped 15 points because of bad refereeing. 15 points is the current difference between Arsenal and Liverpool. And that is Arsenal with all the injuries, no striker, no Saka for 3 months, no Odegaard for 3 months, would be level on points with Liverpool at the moment.
mm,
Had Arsenal gained those 15 points that were stolen from them.
right,
So
right, right.
Liverpool did a fantastic job. They played well. I'm not saying that they had anything to do with anything. I am simply saying it had more with the poor refereeing against Arsenal than them being consistent this season. They did well, they played well, no question about that. Right? The poor refereeing is what what won them the title. However,
Us or costs. So I would rather say it costs Arsenal. If I if I were to
I,
agree
I,
with your theory,
I'm not
I
going
would
to
say more
say
it costs Arsenal as
I,
opposed to Liverpool, as
I,
opposed to it helping Liverpool
I
win the
don't
title.
want to say it cost Arsenal the title because if we awarded Arsenal about those 15 points,
Right?
I don't know that either team would go on and win. So one of them would go on to win, but I don't know if it would
Mm.
be Arsenal or Liverpool. So at the moment, it's not cost Arsenal the title. I do not know that.
Time is the master. Time will
So
tell for sure. So
it
what of Arsenal
definitely
though,
aided
Christoph? What
Liverpool.
can we? I mean, Arsenal is still in the Champions League. Can Arsenal lift the Champions League title this season? Or that's beyond the team at this point as well. I mean,
Everybody left in the competition, I think, has some chance of lifting the title. It's all a matter of can they and the day.
right.
Anything
But
can
what's your
happen, like we
general
said.
feeling as an Arsenal fan, as a disappointing fan who failed to lift the EPL title? What says you as it relates to the Champions League? Can Arsenal as a team lift themselves up and go towards their first Champions League in club history?
I think they're capable of making it to the final, definitely. However, I don't know who at the moment. I don't know who they'll face in the
Well,
final.
let's assume it's Barcelona. I mean,
I
Barcelona is red
strongly
hot right
believe
now.
it will be Barcelona in the final. Um, I don't know if Arsenal can go on and take on Barcelona. I mean, I do not know.
So
I think they
you're
can make
lacking
it to
in
the title.
confidence in that regard
It's
then.
not a matter of lacking in confidence. Barcelona are a team red hot. They have
Yeah, but I mean the ball
essentially
is
a full.
wrong.
They have a full squad. Arsenal have suffered from injuries all season. Arsenal is
Well, I
without a.
mean, that's part of why you build a strong squad, Christoph. That's why you have to build a squad with depth, with quality depth at that. Not just depth, but quality depth, where if a player is injured, then another replacement can go in. Next man up, so to speak. So
Well, the first try striker was injured, and the second try striker was injured. So now Arsenal are using a defensive midfielder, centre
yeah,
forward.
but
So
it seemed to be working. I mean, we're looking at the results and the goals which have been scored during that period. I mean, I don't think Arsenal has lost anything offensively per se. If you would argue they've lost something defensively, then I could agree with that. But offensively, they're still finding the back of the net. I think where they have faltered this season is the goals they have let in at crucial moments. You know, and we see a few defensive mistakes popping up as well from the likes of a Saliba, once touted as the world's best centre back, but we see mistakes creeping into his game at this point in time.
we do see the mistakes creeping in, and
I
I've
mean, it's
seen
not
them. I think,
making the errors as you have been calling out from last year.
but
Zinchenko has hardly featured, yet the Arsenal defense is worse.
the Arsenal defense is, I would say worse this season. And technically it's not worse because Arsenal goals against Arsenal this season is 29, and Arsenal ended last season with 29 goals against. So it's not
Well, I
necessarily
mean,
worse yet.
four games still
Yeah,
left,
therefore, game.
and of
It's
course
possible that they have
they have
clean
to
sheets for the
face the
remaining.
league winners as well.
It's possible that they will retain clean sheets for the rest of the season. So I can't say as yet.
Unlikely based on
Un,
how I
uh,
see this Arsenal
un,
team progressing.
Unlikely, but we don't know definitively yet if the defense is worse.
Yeah,
They
but
have
looking
not.
at it from the eye test point of view, though, Christoph, I mean, outside of the statistics, from an eye test point of view, one could surmise that the performance has been poorer this season defensively than it was last. I mean, last season they were like a steel wall, hard to penetrate. This season, chances are being created, goalkeeper having to make last ditch saves, and of course, goals have been conceded as at crucial times as well. And when you look at the unforced errors from the defenders themselves, Saliba comes to mind in that game versus Crystal Palace. That was another opportunity for Arsenal to put some sort of pressure on Liverpool. But again, whenever those moments have arisen this season, Arsenal has definitely failed, and the failures have added up, resulting in Liverpool lifting the title with all of 4 games to go. So, uh, what of the prospects of next season, though, Christoph? The season is not yet finished, The title, however, has been decided, so we can definitely look ahead. I mean, much of these games you could classify that as a dead rubber. Arsenal should see out the rest of the games, finishing the top five, which means Champions League next season. But looking ahead to next season, what are the changes that Arsenal need to make in order to compete and win? Not just compete, but win. This was supposed to be Arsenal's season, Christoph, and they have faltered. So what can Arsenal do between now and next season in order to lift the EPL title? What? It's going on, what, 22 years now?
Something like that.
Mm, that's a long time. That's over two
20,
decades.
21 years.
21. Wow.
I mean,
One.
Liverpool went 30, so it's not
Well,
that long.
that is definitely true. Arsenal may be looking to break that record. Time will tell.
I mean, if the referees have their way, potentially that could be the case.
But
Um,
I
for
mean,
our,
referees aside, what can Arsenal do to help themselves going into next season? Is it that a clinical striker is needed? Does the midfield need to be revamped? I see where Partey is being released and not being re-signed, so that is one casualty of this season already. Talk to us. What I mean, it's your team. You have been watching the games. You've been seeing how the teams have been shaping out. What can Arsenal do between now and next season in order for them to lift the EPL title come next year?
for
Uh,
Arsenal to win the EPL title next season, I think there's a strong foundation there at Arsenal currently. We've seen it even this season, despite all the injuries and missing key players for a large portion of the season. Arsenal have still done well in multiple competitions. First of all, the very first signing in the summer must be a centre forward who is proven and will score goals. Right? You don't
give
you
us a name.
you
Throw a name out there for us.
for me it's Victor Gokieres is who they
Look
should be going
here but
is
does he
who they
fit the
should be going
Arsenal
after.
profile?
He does. He does. He
Okay.
scores goal. He will drop deep. He's
But what of
powerful.
his age? Any concern about his age?
He's young. He's what, 23, 20,
Mm,
23, 24?
okay.
He's not an old player.
Got you. So he is the key man you would sign to beef up the Arsenal strike force.
Yes, that would be it for me. Ideally, I would be bringing both Gokieres and Benjamin Sesko in. That way, you have options. You have two
Mm,
different type of strikers
I see. I
to
see.
work
Anyone
with.
to go out the doors though?
I would be looking to sell Gabriel Jesus.
Right,
The
right,
the it
right.
while it's obvious that he has something to offer, the injury record cannot be overlooked in my opinion. And I mean, that coupled with the high wages, I would be looking to send him out the door.
Offload Gabriel. Any
Right.
other
I
any other
think
areas that need improvement?
um
So
the
that takes
midfield.
care of the attacking side of things. Oh, any additions in the midfield or the defense?
In midfield, I expect that they will be bringing in somebody to be an alternative to Odegaard. I think one of the things that Arsenal is very lacking in is they need somebody to be unpredictable in certain games. There's a formula to their approach and a method to the play, but what
Oh,
they
so
need
someone
is
like a
somebody.
Jones from Liverpool, for example, then
Uh, I don't know anything about that Jones.
all-round type player. You can play right back,
No, no,
attacking
no,
mid,
no, no, no.
defensive mid,
That's not
carry
what
the
I mean.
ball, create goals, score goals.
That's not what I mean. That's not what I mean.
Mm.
I mean you need a player who will do something differently. Somebody who breaks the mold of how your team is playing in order to create space, create chances and stuff like that.
I'm not too following. Give me an example of a player that fit that mold that we're familiar with.
Uh,
Who fits that profile that you're speaking of?
who fits that profile?
Yeah, in the EPL. Who is
In
a
the
player in the
EPL?
EPL that fits that mold?
Perhaps like a Bruno Fernandez.
Mm.
Right?
Oh, so a attacking type creative player then. Someone who thinks the game and has a vision. Almost like a Ozil of old then.
Right.
I
Ozil
see.
was very unpredictable and would change games. For Man City, that used to be a Kevin De Bruyne where he would be able to find that pass anywhere. It would be a pass out of how they would normally play, right?
Right.
If you go back to, probably a Pep Guardiola Barcelona of old, Barcelona had a very structured way that they played, but they also had Messi who changed up how they played. Messi was probably the only player who would dribble and carry the ball. He would take on. I think Arsenal need some an X factor like that in the side. There is Saka, right? He does it from
So what
time to
about
time.
the youngster Enwari?
1 year,
Couldn't he be deployed in that mold? If in fact you do bring in a Sesko or as you mentioned a Gokieres, so couldn't Enwari be that player? Almost like a Smith Rowe type player. I mean,
yeah,
just saying. I mean,
I,
Liverpool
I,
won the league with pretty much rotating four midfielders, which each midfielder in and of themselves offered something different. So that rotation was whether it was for rest or for tactical reason in terms of the opponents being played, but it was really four players primarily being played or deployed in that midfield. And three at any one point. So you have a McAllister, Gravenberch, or Soboslai, and then you also had Jones as well, which any player could be rotated out, and a player like Jones slot in. So slot using the Liverpool mold though, Christoph, it was four players who were mixed and rotated from game to game. And they seem to have found the right balance, which pretty much dominated more game than not in terms of possession, chance being created, and just a dominance in the middle of the park. And perhaps at times Arsenal have lacked that bit of creativity as you speak of, as teams play in a low block against a superior attacking team, which oftentimes is the case when you have the bigger teams playing the lesser teams. So you have to practice how to beat a low block at times and how to counter that counter attack, which teams will probably come to Arsenal and set up and play
right.
for.
But this closing out this season, one of the reasons why Arsenal could not necessarily rotate how they wanted. I think they needed a bigger squad, and
Mhm.
I've said that all season. But Arsenal has also had the most injuries last season, players
So
being
the
injured
medical
for large
staff need to be
chunks.
looked at then. The
Um,
physios and doctors need to be looked at if so many players are getting injured season after season after season.
yeah, I don't think it's just the physios and medical
Or
teams
the
that need to be
coach
looked
is
after.
not rotating the players enough
I
or
think I
pushing them too hard in training.
that is probably a factor as well, but I think it's a combination of things. All
Mm.
right, I
So
think
poor
it's
management
also
then. In essence, poor management by Arteta in general.
it's some poor man management rotation, right? Maybe training needs to be revised somewhat, but also I think what is a really big factor is the amount of football being played outside of the league season. So
Mm.
I think last year what we had the Euros, right? The Euros basically started immediately after the seasons ended, right? So the players, a lot of players did not get as much rest as they potentially should have. And I think clubs probably need to be looking into um just
That's
saying,
why you
hey,
have five
maybe
subs, Christoph. And oftentimes Arteta don't even use the maximum five subs.
most
That is
teams
why
aren't
the
using the
five
five
sub
subs.
was introduced for managers to make the best use of their squad and not allow players to be overworked. That is the reason behind the five substitutions. So, I mean, if players are getting injured because of lack of rotation or playing too many minutes, then there is no other person to blame but the manager because the system is there. You have five substitution which you can utilize. Use it. But again, we see managers like Arteta, Pep, not fully utilizing these subs and then come complaining that players are overworked too many games, etc. I'm not buying it. I am definitely not buying it. But final word on this Arsenal situation, Christoph. Arteta in or out? What says you?
Arteta in.
Arteta in. So you still have confidence in the manager that he can bring some silverware to Arsenal. How much time should he be given to deliver silverware? If you're saying retain him for next season, how much time is enough time for silverware to be delivered?
I'm saying retain him for next season, but we don't know how the season will go as yet. So,
Right. But
he
let's
could
say
go
he
on.
doesn't win anything next season. Do you still retain? or do you now give somebody else a chance?
I think there are multiple factors that will determine if he's retained. Like I said, let us assume that he does not win anything next season.
Right?
It
Yes.
depends on what happens over the coming summer in terms of recruitment. Did the hierarchy back their manager and allow him to recruit as he wanted, or did they just say or use the same team that he had? If the hierarchy gave him the same team and didn't give him any signings, then the hierarchy is at fault for
Yeah,
any
but I
lack
mean,
of
look at
silverware.
Slot. Slot had no signings and yet still lift the title. So how do you
Slot
explain that?
Slot had no signings.
Right.
Liverpool already had a team that was capable of winning the league under Klopp.
Mm.
The difference is last season Liverpool suffered a lot of injuries.
Mm.
Arsenal this season suffered a lot of injuries. Right?
Interesting
This
dynamic.
is
I
Slot
mean,
Slot
in order to win the title,
Slot
it
did not
seems
have a lot of
all
work to do.
the stars has to align correctly, Christoph. So it's
Not
not,
all the time. Not all the time.
well, I mean, it
Sometimes you
seems like
just need
a
some
lot of
referees
things
on
have
your
to
side.
go right for you.
Yeah, a lot
I-
went right for
you know,
Liverpool.
so, but interesting. But again, Christoph, we had the FA Cup semi-finals as well. We now have our finalists. Crystal Palace taking care of business versus Aston Villa, and Man City getting the better of Nottingham Forest, which leads us to an FA Cup final. Crystal Palace versus Man City. How did you see these two games, and who do you think will lift that FA Cup? I mean, for me personally, it was a big shock for me to see Aston Villa being beaten and battered as they were. I mean, Crystal Palace running away big winners, and it could certainly have been worse, missing a penalty in the process as well. How did you see both games?
Um, well, I think Man City will go on to win it. They've picked up their form. They're looking they're not at their best, but they're looking like they're able to get the wins and get the victories in these games. And with this being their only chance at silverware, I think they will go on and win it. Um, Crystal Palace versus Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa is potentially in a slump at the moment, having lost to PSG. I think it's potentially not the window to them, so to speak, and they probably
Yeah,
need to pick them up.
yeah, I think it's a bad time to even drop Watkins. Of late, Watkins have been coming off the bench, Christoph, and I think his confidence have
I
been seriously dented.
yeah
I mean, Emery has turned to Rashford, it seems, and
uh,
in the
very
process,
that I think that has been a very strange decision to me. Watkins have been playing well for the majority of the season. He didn't drop off to me when you brought in Rashford or Asensio or anybody. He didn't drop off. So uh, I don't know what the experimenting is with dropping Watkins as a centre forward. He's
mm,
performing well, not in need of any rotation or anything like that. I don't
right.
know why drop him in the first place.
Yeah, that's an
Maybe there's some
interesting
clause
selection
in.
dilemma, to be honest. I am not sure what's going on, and it seems as if I don't know. I mean, Watkins' future might be up in the air. In all honesty, I mean, he was linked with a move to Arsenal during the January transfer window as well, and that move was did not materialize, and now we're seeing signs of possibly a fracturing of the relationship between himself and Emery. But it was a very shocking result. I thought the game, even if Crystal Palace had gone on to win, I thought the game would have been closer, but it was men out versus boys. I thought the tactics were better from Crystal Palace. The approach to the game in general, and of course, Tillemans seemed to have been the weak link in that Aston Villa midfield, his pocket being picked, which led to at least two of the goals, to be honest. And he had a very poor game in the middle of the park for Aston Villa. So the tactics from Crystal Palace was spot on. And of course, the pace up front and a devastating finish by Eze. He has to be a player for the future, Christoph. What's your thoughts on Eze? Could he possibly be the solution to the Arsenal woes? He seemed to be a good man who could possibly fit into the Arsenal system, Christoph. But I'm not hearing much from you as it relates to the possible signing of a player like Eze. What says you? Couldn't he be the solution at Arsenal?
I don't technically know that. What solution to what problem exactly are you
Well,
saying?
you said Odegaard needs a rotation at times. I mean, is a quality 10 and he can play in multiple positions as well. I mean, he has a eye for a pass. He has a good finish on him. His football IQ and skill level seem to be up there, and he's technically good. I mean, he's like the talisman for Crystal Palace at this point in time. He's almost like a prototype Zaha, So I mean, he quality player, I must say, young and of good quality. I mean, I've been watching him for Crystal Palace over the period, and he's definitely their best player, hands down. I mean, I'm not sure where Crystal Palace would be without the contributions he has made in terms of goals and assists this season. I mean, without him, possibly Crystal Palace may have been battling relegation. So to me, he should be a player that Arsenal really tries to get in the summer to bolster their chances for next season.
I mean, if you say so, I'm not necessarily definitely Crystal Palace's best player by
It doesn't sound
potentially a
as if you're a
countryman.
fan.
No, I just don't see it. I am one of those people who think the English youth is often overrated, a lot, in my
Yeah, but
opinion.
I
I
mean, the
remember
statistic is there to support the eye test. I mean, we're not just going off what we're seeing, but the numbers are also there, which shows that he does have an end product at the
what
end of the
uh,
day. He's
it,
contributing in goals, he's contributing in assists, you know,
right,
key
but
passes, etc.
what
So
what
the
what are
statistics are there.
those numbers when it comes to big games per se? I don't know those numbers. So
Well, again, as I said, he may not be coming in Arsenal as a starter. You said you wanted someone who could replace an Odegaard in case of injuries, in case he needs a game to
loss
be
in farm
rotated.
rotation.
Exactly. And Eze to me is a quality replacement. He's a quality EPL tried and tested. So it's not as if you're going overseas for someone who has never
Uh,
played in the
uh,
EPL before,
how
which
much
oftentimes we see many players have a difficulty making that transition as well.
how much would that cost?
Well,
You
again,
think?
it depends on the
What do
market.
you, yeah, it depends on the
In
market, but
excess of 50 million.
if in excess of 50 million,
In
so
excess of 50
you're
million.
saying Eze would cost what, 55 million?
Yeah, anywhere between 50 and 60, I would say would be a steal for Arsenal.
No, no. If you value in the player, how much you think would the player should be?
Personally, if I'm valuing him, I'm looking at maybe 35 million. But then, of
Oh,
course, you have to factor in the English tax and then the market fluctuation as well.
all right. So
Possibly the desperation that Arsenal may have also.
Arsenal don't have a desperation.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, with the departure of a man like Partey, which, the Arsenal is definitely going to need a replacement defensive midfielder per se,
Partey's contract
or
is is, is
uh,
is is out of contract in the summer, but
right.
to my knowledge, he has not signed any new
No,
deals with
he
any
won't be
clubs.
renewed. He won't be renewed. That was the latest news I heard that
Okay,
Arsenal is allowing him to leave. So
okay.
for
I think
sure,
I think that has to do mainly with the allegations against him. I think.
allegations, but nothing has been proven.
Yeah, nothing
So,
has been proven, but I think it's more a matter of
but
if
plus we
something
don't know if
happened.
it's party as well. No news have been forthcoming as it relates to who this player is.
No, it was already confirmed that it was Partey. The allegations are against Partey. So I
Mm.
mean, it's like I said, it's one of those things where clubs are not taking any chances when it comes to these things. For whatever reason, they renew him, they give him a 2, 3 year contract, then he is potentially found guilty of something, even if it's misdemeanor or whatever, then potentially they still have to pay out that contract. So I think it depends. I think that's what happened. They're just reluctant to renew the contract under those circumstances. But
I mean, based
um,
on that will
I
significantly weaken the Arsenal midfield if a
I
quality
I
replacement cannot be found.
I believe so too. I think a contract should have been offered to Partey, especially on the back of his performances this season. He has been excellent all season, in my opinion. Partey's poorest games this season have come when he has been played out of position as a right back, and even when playing out of position, he has still played excellently all season. I think he should be offered a contract, but
Well, I
I
wouldn't go so far as say excellently. I think he may have held the fort. He didn't look out of place, but I wouldn't necessarily say excellently. A man who I
past
would say excellent to is like a man like Trent Arnold-Alexander, who have played excellently during the course of the season. But I wouldn't put Partey in the same
uh,
category
uh,
as a Trent, to be honest with you.
hold on. When I say Partey has played excellently all season, I'm talking about his overall performance all season.
You mean,
Are you
I
speaking?
thought you meant as a right back.
Are you speaking that Trent has been an excellent right back all season? Is
Yes,
what you're
man.
saying?
Quality,
Okay.
best in the world, being linked with Real Madrid and all. His head didn't turn. Performances have remained of the highest quality. Both
If
productive
I
with
if
goals, assists, and defensive
if I
contributions. So,
if I recall when those rumors came out, there was a dip in performances for
no,
about
I think he
five
had picked up
games.
an injury, if memory serves me correctly. In fact, he's just coming back from an injury. So, you know. But interesting times ahead for sure. Interesting times ahead. But any other standout results, Christoph, as it relates to the EPL this weekend? Any other game which somewhat surprised you per se, or did everything go according to plan? I mean, Chelsea picking up a win over uh, Everton without any significant contributions from a man like Cole Palmer. That's a plus for Chelsea, and they are maintaining the pace as it relates to the top four. Similarly with Newcastle as well, no slip ups there. Newcastle getting the job done and maintaining their pace to finish in the top four as well. It's now up to Nottingham Forest, who has a later game this week to keep pace with those teams pushing for that top four. So your predictions are still remaining then, Christoph, as it relates to the top four, or has any results this weekend shifted your thought process?
Um, at the moment, no result has really shifted my thought process. I mean, people might look at Nottingham Forest and say maybe they won't make it, but Nottingham Forest has a game in hand, so um, that is potentially 63 points, and that would move them into third. Yeah, that would move them back into third. So hard to say still. I still think it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and probably Man City.
Oh, so who get that fifth spot? Would it be
Um,
Newcastle
I think it will be Newcastle. I don't think it's going to be Chelsea.
or
Uh,
Aston Villa?
right now Villa is asleep, so hard to say.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, to me, no, none of the results have really moved the needle, in all honesty. I'm still maintaining that top five, as you said, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest. Those are my picks. I
Mm.
think the schedule will start to tighten up on Chelsea, and Aston Villa at this point in time is either hit or miss. To be honest, they may get surprise you with a win and then surprise you with a loss. So that consistency is lacking from them at the moment. So I don't see them making it in. I think it will be, as mentioned, Liverpool, City, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea. Sorry, not Chelsea. Newcastle is my call for that one. So interesting times ahead for sure. But Christoph, any final thoughts as we wrap things up? What can we say? Champions League coming up, more games in the EPL. Any final thoughts?
My only final thought is, congratulations to Howard Webb and his team on winning the Premier League.
I thought you were gonna say congratulations to Liverpool on lifting the EPL title. I
No,
mean, if you won't say
definitely,
it, then I'll say it.
definitely,
Congratulations to Liverpool, the
definitely.
entire Liverpool fan base, players, coaches, management team, viewers and subscribers who are supporters of Liverpool as well. Big up yourself. Liverpool lifting a 20th top flight title. Going level as it relates to those titles with Manchester United. But of course, Liverpool have the superior cabinet with more European trophies than their rival United. So at this point in time, Liverpool leads the English division with the most trophies in their football history. So congratulations again to players, staff, supporters of the Liverpool team. It has been a fantastic season. Shocking to many that Slot in his first season managed to lift the EPL title, something which eluded Jurgen Klopp all these many years. Klopp only managed to lift one title, and Slot in his first season have equaled that tally. So again, it's a excellent surprise for all the many fans, both locally and overseas as well. But so congrats to the Liverpool team. Still 4 games to go though, Christoph. What do you think the Liverpool approach will be for these 4 remaining games? What's your call on that? Having seen teams secure the title early on, what do you think? Do you think the manager will now rotate, or do you think he will still keep that first 11, which has gotten the job done over the course of the season? What do you think? What do you think the approach will be? Will it be a celebratory one, or will the serious football continue?
Um, Given that their Liverpool is not in any other competitions, I think they will probably um at least start the games with the preferred 11, and then later in the matches rotate and give some other players a chance to play. Just to try and keep up that level of professionalism. But again, Liverpool has nothing else playing for. They're not in any other competition. So
Right.
I don't think they need to rest any players, really. So I think they'll start with their preferred 11, and then you'll see some rotation. Second half, but the odd game, you might see one or two players get rotated out.
Mm. Much more football yet to be played. Champions League semi-finals coming up, as well as a number of games in the English top flight. The winners have been decided, but the battle for the Champions League and those European positions is the tightest they have been in many a years. So that right now will be the focus. That I think that more fans will be keeping an eye on. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Please continue to support us by sharing, liking, and if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. Leave us your comment. What do you think was the main reason for this Liverpool title win? Leave it in the comment section. Christoph, thanks again for coming on board and really sharing your thoughts and your opinions. But viewers and subscribers, until next time, this is Rafa signing off.